Let's be honest. The moment she starts questioning you, pulling back, pushing your buttons, or suddenly acting unpredictable, your chest tightens. You wonder if you messed up, if you're losing her, if something changed overnight. That unease you feel in the first few seconds isn't accidental. It's the beginning of a test you were never told existed. And here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear from a woman's voice. The more she likes you, the more she watches how you respond when things aren't smooth. Not because she wants to hurt you, not because she's cruel, but because attraction for her isn't built on words, promises, or surface confidence. It's built on emotional safety under pressure. When a woman is indifferent, she's easy. She laughs politely, agrees quickly, and doesn't challenge you. There's nothing at stake, so there's nothing to test. But when she feels something deeper forming, her mind starts asking dangerous questions. Can this man stay grounded when I'm uncertain? Does he become reactive when I pull away? Does he chase validation when I'm silent? Or does he remain calm, steady, and self-respecting? These questions don't come from logic. They come from instinct, and instinct is louder than intention. You see, attraction for women is not static, it's dynamic. It grows or dies based on how you handle emotional friction. So when she likes you, she unconsciously introduces friction. A delayed reply, a sudden boundary, a disagreement that didn't need to exist, a moment where she says, "I'm not sure," even when she feels something. She is not asking you to fix her feelings. She's watching whether you try to control them. That difference decides everything. Most men fail here because they misunderstand the test. They think reassurance is strength. They think explaining themselves will bring clarity. They think chasing consistency will restore peace. But in her nervous system, your anxiety reads as instability. Your over-explaining reads as insecurity. Your need for certainty feels like pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction faster than silence ever could. Here's the part few men can accept. Her tests are not about proving you care. She already knows that. They're about proving you don't abandon yourself when care is uncertain. A man who stays emotionally regulated, who doesn't beg for reassurance, who doesn't punish distance with anger or affection with neediness becomes rare, and rarity is magnetic. When she challenges you, she's measuring your internal structure. Do you collapse when she's cold? Do you harden when she's confused? Or do you stay centered, warm, and boundaried without demanding anything in return? That response tells her whether being close to you will feel safe or chaotic. This is why the men who understand female psychology don't fear being tested. They expect it. They don't see it as rejection. They see it as evaluation. And instead of reacting emotionally, they respond intentionally, calm, present, unshaken. Because when a woman likes you, she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for stability under uncertainty. And the moment she senses that in you, the tests don't stop, they dissolve. When she starts testing you, what she's really doing is listening to your nervous system, not your words. Men think attraction lives in conversation, chemistry, or shared values. But for women, attraction lives in how your emotional state feels when she steps closer or pulls away. This is why two men can say the same thing, yet one feels calming and the other feels exhausting. She isn't responding to the message, she's responding to the energy underneath it. Here's the hard truth. A woman who doesn't care about you won't test you deeply. She has nothing to lose. But when she feels a bond forming, her subconscious goes into protection mode. Her mind scans for danger, not in the dramatic sense, but in the emotional sense. Will this man become needy if I need space? Will he become distant if I need closeness? Will he try to control the pace because his self-worth depends on my reactions? These questions decide whether attraction deepens or quietly dies. So she tests, not with a clipboard or a plan, but with behavior that creates mild emotional stress. She may disagree with you more. She may tease you in ways that poke your ego. She may suddenly say she's busy when she isn't. None of this is random. She's creating a small storm to see if you drown or float. And most men drown without realizing why. The biggest mistake men make is assuming the test is about effort, so they give more attention, more reassurance, more explanations. They try to earn stability, but effort without emotional control looks like desperation. And desperation signals that your emotional balance depends on her approval. To her subconscious, that's not safety, that's a burden. What actually passes the test is not distance or coldness, it's grounded warmth. A man who doesn't withdraw to punish her and doesn't chase to soothe himself. A man who can say without saying it, "I'm okay whether this moment feels good or uncomfortable." That unspoken message is powerful. It tells her she can relax because you're not fragile. Think about it this way. If you were crossing a bridge, you wouldn't want it to shake every time the wind blows. You'd want it to hold firm, even silently. That's what she's looking for in you. Emotional load-bearing capacity. When you remain calm while she's uncertain, you become the place her emotions can land without chaos. This is why men who are confident but reactive still fail. Confidence without regulation is just ego, and ego panics when it feels questioned. She doesn't need you to win every interaction. She needs you to not lose yourself in them. The moment you argue to prove your worth, explain to control her perception, or sulk to regain power, the test registers as failed. But when you stay present, listen without collapsing, respond without overcorrecting, and keep your sense of self intact, something shifts. Her testing slows, not because she's satisfied intellectually, but because her body feels safe. And safety is what allows attraction to become attachment. So understand this clearly. She tests you more when she likes you more because she's deciding if liking you is dangerous or secure. And every reaction you give teaches her something about what loving you would feel like. There's a moment during her testing that most men never notice, but it decides everything. It's the moment she pulls back just enough to see if you'll lean forward too fast. This is where attraction either stabilizes or collapses, because what she's really watching is not how much you want her, but how you handle the feeling of wanting without losing control. When she likes you, your presence starts to matter to her nervous system. That's when fear enters quietly, fear of getting attached, fear of choosing wrong, fear of losing herself. She won't say this out loud. Instead, she creates distance, not to escape you, but to check if closeness with you feels safe. And safety, for her, means you don't turn her uncertainty into your emergency. Most men interpret distance as disinterest, so they rush to close the gap. They send long messages. They ask what's wrong. They try to lock things down. But from her perspective, this response answers her question in the worst way. It tells her that when emotions fluctuate, you panic, and panic feels unstable. Here's the psychological truth. Women are drawn to men who can hold emotional tension without rushing to resolve it. A man who doesn't need immediate clarity feels strong. Not because he's detached, but because he trusts himself. He knows who he is, whether she's close or quiet. That self-trust becomes something she leans into. This is why she may say something slightly dismissive or challenging when she likes you. She's observing whether you defend your ego or stay relaxed. If you argue to regain power, you fail. If you withdraw to protect your pride, you fail. But if you stay grounded, respond lightly, or simply let the moment pass without emotional charge, you pass. Not because you impressed her, but because you didn't make the moment heavy. Understand this clearly. Her tests are not about dominance. They are about emotional consistency. She wants to know if your mood, confidence, and sense of self swing based on her behavior. If they do, she feels pressure. And pressure kills desire. If they don't, she feels freedom, and freedom deepens desire. There's also something deeper happening. When she tests you and you don't react, she begins to mirror your stability. Her emotions settle because yours don't spike. This is why women often say they feel calm around certain men without knowing why. It's not chemistry, it's regulation. Men who pass these tests don't play games. They don't withhold affection to manipulate. They simply don't abandon themselves. They keep their routines, their purpose, their standards intact. They don't make her the center of their emotional universe. And paradoxically, that's what makes her move closer. What most men never realize is that her testing intensifies right before emotional attachment forms. This is the critical phase where her feelings deepen, but so does her vulnerability. And vulnerability for a woman is never careless. It demands proof, not through words, but through your behavior when things feel uncertain. When she senses she's starting to care, she becomes hyper-aware of your reactions. A small shift in tone, a pause in your reply, a boundary you set, everything becomes data. She's not trying to control you. She's trying to understand the emotional environment she's stepping into. Will this man make my life feel heavier or lighter? This is where many men sabotage themselves without knowing it. They think being agreeable will make things easier. They suppress their boundaries to avoid conflict. They over-adapt to her moods. But what she's actually testing is whether you can remain kind without becoming compliant. Because a man who erases himself to keep peace doesn't feel safe. He feels unpredictable. One day he will resent the very compromises he made. A woman is deeply attuned to emotional undercurrents. When you say it's fine, but your energy says it's not, she feels the disconnect. And that disconnect creates tension. This is why authenticity matters more than harmony. She doesn't need you to agree with her. She needs you to be real without becoming reactive. So she may challenge your opinion. She may question your decision. She may even test your boundaries by crossing them slightly. Not to disrespect you, but to see if you respect yourself. A man who calmly holds his line without anger sends a powerful signal. He shows that his boundaries are not emotional weapons, but quiet truths. This is also why she may suddenly become more emotional or contradictory when she likes you. Her feelings are expanding faster than her sense of control. She's watching to see if you'll try to manage her emotions or simply allow them. A man who tries to fix her feelings feels invasive. A man who can sit with them feels trustworthy. Here's the paradox most men miss. The less you try to secure her feelings, the safer she feels having them. When you don't demand reassurance, she doesn't feel trapped. When you don't over-explain, she doesn't feel pressured. When you don't chase clarity, she doesn't feel rushed. And in that space, her attraction has room to breathe. This is where emotional leadership matters. Not dominance, not control, leadership. The ability to remain steady when emotions fluctuate, to respond instead of react, to hold warmth without attachment to outcome. That steadiness becomes something she relies on without realizing it. So when she tests you more, understand what's really happening. She's standing at the edge of deeper connection, asking herself if stepping closer will feel safe, and your calm presence, your self-respect, your emotional integrity answer that question louder than anything you could ever say. By now, you're beginning to see the pattern. The more she likes you, the more her subconscious nudges her to test your emotional core. And here's the crucial piece most men completely miss. She doesn't just test for patience or composure. She's testing for authenticity under pressure. She wants to see if you remain the man you claim to be when things feel uncertain, when emotions spike, when boundaries are challenged. That's where attraction transforms from casual interest to real investment. When she likes you deeply, her actions may feel confusing. She may flirt intensely one moment and withdraw the next. She may compliment you and then critique something minor. She may schedule plans and then cancel unexpectedly. Each of these moments isn't random. Each is a subtle probe into how you handle the emotional seesaw. A man who reacts emotionally, chasing clarity or validation, fails. A man who responds thoughtfully, anchored in himself, passes. And passing isn't about winning her favor. It's about proving you are trustworthy under the weight of uncertainty. Let's be blunt. Most men fail these tests because they confuse attraction with compliance. They assume that if they satisfy her requests or smooth over tension, they're building connection. But women aren't looking for a yes man. They're looking for a man who is consistent, dependable, and emotionally reliable regardless of what she throws at him. That reliability is magnetic because it signals stability, the rarest commodity in any romantic dynamic today. Here's an important psychological nuance. When she tests you, she's also scanning for emotional intelligence. Can you recognize your triggers? Can you pause before reacting? Can you choose the response that maintains both your dignity and her comfort? Women don't articulate these expectations. Their minds don't need to. They sense it instinctively. And when you fail to meet these unspoken criteria, attraction diminishes subtly but irrevocably. But when you succeed, it's not about her feeling impressed. It's about her feeling safe. Safe enough to show her vulnerability, to invest her emotions, and to imagine a future with you that doesn't feel chaotic. That safety builds desire faster than charm, confidence, or physical attraction ever could. It's why a man who maintains inner stability is often far more attractive than a man who tries to prove worth through words or gestures. Notice this. Her testing isn't a punishment, it's a filter. It separates men who are emotionally grounded from men who are reactive, insecure, or inconsistent. The more she likes you, the more she filters because the stakes are higher. She's considering what life with you would feel like when her emotions fluctuate, and she's determining whether your presence enhances or destabilizes her world. So, if you want to understand why she tests you more when she likes you more, stop looking for explanations in her words or actions. Look at yourself. Look at your calmness under pressure, your ability to hold boundaries without creating conflict, your capacity to respond instead of react. That's what she's measuring. And when you master this, her tests aren't obstacles. They're gateways to deeper attraction, intimacy, and trust. Now, let's confront the final truth most men never fully grasp. Her testing is actually a mirror. It reflects not her uncertainty, but yours. The way you respond to her challenges, pauses, and contradictions reveals your internal architecture, your confidence, your self-respect, your ability to remain steady in the face of emotional turbulence. And she notices every subtle cue, even if she never speaks about it. This is why men who understand female psychology stop asking why she tests them and start asking how they respond to themselves. When she likes you deeply, her actions may trigger discomfort, jealousy, or even insecurity. But these are not mistakes on her part. They are deliberate, unconscious probes to see if your attraction is built on your own foundation or on her reassurance. If your worth is contingent on her attention, the moment she withdraws, even slightly, you reveal instability. And instability kills desire faster than criticism or distance ever could. But if your value is anchored internally, her tests merely confirm the strength she already sensed in you. This is why so many men are caught in the trap of over-explaining, over-apologizing, or over-chasing. They mistake testing for rejection, assuming that if they fix the moment, they will win her favor. In reality, winning her favor through panic only teaches her that closeness comes at the cost of your composure. And once she registers that, attraction diminishes, not because she stopped caring, but because she senses unpredictability in your emotional blueprint. A man who truly understands this dynamic responds differently. He sees tension as a lens into his own emotional state rather than her behavior. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't overreact. He doesn't manipulate outcomes. Instead, he stays grounded, patient, and emotionally regulated. His calm presence creates a safe emotional environment where her feelings can exist freely. This is what turns testing into desire and desire into attachment. The paradox is brutal but liberating. The more she tests, the more she secretly likes you. The more friction she creates, the more she's subconsciously assessing whether loving you will feel safe and effortless. If you can remain consistent, warm, and unshaken, her tests vanish naturally, replaced by intimacy and trust. If you crumble or chase, the tests escalate, subtly pushing her to protect her own emotional stability. Remember, this isn't manipulation. This is instinct, hardwired by evolution. Women are wired to seek men whose emotional stability promises safety and reliability. And when a man provides that without being forced to prove it, he becomes magnetic in ways words cannot describe. Your presence, your reactions, your self-possession, they speak louder than any compliment or gift ever could. So here's the challenge. Think about the last time she tested you. Multiply the moments you stayed grounded by the times you felt triggered but didn't act on it. Drop that number in the comments. Reflect on it. And if you found this insight valuable, like this video, subscribe for more truths about female psychology, and share it with a friend who needs to understand why she tests him more when she likes him most. The answers you give yourself here will determine how you handle every test she ever gives moving forward.